In recent developments that have captured national attention, a significant legal confrontation has emerged between the Trump administration and the federal judiciary. At the heart of this dispute is a case involving the deportation of several hundred Venezuelan immigrants, a case that has raised profound constitutional concerns and ignited vigorous debate about executive overreach. The conflict centers on the administration's contentious decision to invoke the state secrets doctrine, a move that many legal experts argue is not only unprecedented, but also a direct challenge to judicial authority. The case originated when Judge James Boasberg, serving as the Chief Judge of the Federal District Court in Washington, D.C., and as the head of the Alien Terrorist Removal Court, intervened in what he described as an unconstitutional deportation operation. The order in question was issued on March 15th, directing the administration to immediately halt further deportations of Venezuelan immigrants until each individual's constitutional rights, specifically the right to notice and a hearing, are duly respected. The judge's ruling was a direct response to what he characterized as an egregious violation of due process, where individuals were forcibly removed and sent to foreign territories without the requisite judicial protections. Judge Boasberg's order was clear. No planes carrying migrants should be allowed to leave unless it could be guaranteed that those aboard were first given the opportunity to appear in court. Should any flights have already departed, the order mandated that they be redirected back to ensure compliance with constitutional safeguards. As the ruling was not merely procedural, it was a decisive intervention intended to prevent what the judge termed as a kidnapping of individuals from their home country and subsequent transport to destinations where their legal rights would be completely disregarded. In a dramatic twist, the Trump administration, through its Department of Justice, DOJ, attorneys, rejected the judge's request for detailed information pertaining to the deportation logistics. Specifically, the administration refused to disclose data regarding the identities of the deported individuals, the exact times of the departures and arrivals of the involved flights, and other critical operational details. The rationale provided was that this information was shielded under the state secrets doctrine, a legal principle typically invoked to protect sensitive national security data. This invocation, however, raises a perplexing contradiction. While the administration has publicly released videos that document these deportations as part of its propaganda efforts, it simultaneously claims that the underlying operational data is too sensitive to be disclosed in a judicial setting. This dissonance between public transparency and legal obfuscation forms the core of the investigative inquiry. The administration's argument is that revealing the requested details would compromise national security. Yet, this assertion appears to be at odds with the very evidence already disseminated on official White House channels. The contradiction is stark. If the information is so vital that its disclosure in court could jeopardize state security, how then can it be displayed publicly for mass consumption? This paradox underscores the administration's strategy, which seems designed to evade accountability while continuing to operate in clear defiance of constitutional norms. Legal experts have noted that the mechanisms available for handling classified information in judicial proceedings are well established. Judges routinely review sensitive material through procedures known as ex parte and in-camera sessions, methods that allow the disclosure of classified information in a controlled, confidential manner. Such processes ensure that judges, who often hold high-level security clearances, can evaluate the necessary evidence without compromising national security or granting the information to parties not entitled to it. The administration's refusal to employ these standard practices suggests a deliberate attempt to withhold information that could validate the judge's concerns about procedural violations. The implications of this standoff are profound, particularly regarding the enforcement of judicial orders against the executive branch. Judge Boasberg has signaled that if the administration continues to defy his order, he will be forced to consider sanctions for contempt of court. There are two primary forms of contempt, civil and criminal. Civil contempt allows the court to impose fines on the offending parties on a daily basis until compliance is achieved, serving as a coercive measure to encourage adherence to the law. Criminal contempt, on the other hand, involves a mini-trial where officials found to have willfully violated the court order could face not only fines, but also incarceration for a period ranging from days to months. The decision to pursue criminal contempt would mark an extraordinary step in holding high-ranking government officials personally accountable for undermining judicial authority. Further intensifying the scrutiny, during a recent appellate argument, Judge Patricia Millett, one of the panel judges, expressed severe criticism of the administration's actions. In stark terms, she noted that during World War II, individuals accused of serious transgressions were afforded more robust protections under the American criminal justice system than the Venezuelan immigrants currently being denied their constitutional rights. Her remarks serve as a pointed reminder of the historical standards of due process and the gravity of depriving individuals of these fundamental protections. Such commentary reinforces the view that the administration's tactics are not only legally unsound, but also ethically reprehensible. The unfolding legal battle has raised several important questions about the broader implications for executive power and accountability. By invoking the state secrets doctrine in this context, the Trump administration appears to be testing the limits of its authority, challenging the judiciary's ability to enforce constitutional rights against actions deemed critical by the executive branch. This case, therefore, is not merely about a single deportation order. It is emblematic of a larger struggle over the separation of powers and the balance between national security and civil liberties. Looking ahead, the next steps in the legal process are likely to be pivotal. Given the administration's aggressive use of dilatory tactics, a strategy that has been observed in previous cases involving executive misconduct, the judicial system may soon move to issue a show cause order. Such an order would compel DOJ prosecutors to explain, under the threat of contempt proceedings, why they have failed to comply with the court's order. This procedural move could serve as a catalyst for more decisive action, potentially leading to formal contempt charges against administration officials. The speed with which these proceedings move forward will be closely watched by legal experts and civil rights advocates alike, as the outcome could set a precedent for future cases involving executive defiance of judicial mandates. The stakes in this confrontation are extraordinarily high. Hundreds of Venezuelan immigrants who were subjected to what has been widely characterized as unconstitutional deportation now find themselves detained in El Salvador. Reports indicate that the Salvadoran government has entered into a financial arrangement with the Trump administration, receiving payment in exchange for housing these individuals in local detention facilities. This arrangement, while not the primary focus of the current legal battle, further complicates the situation by intertwining humanitarian concerns with political and financial incentives. It raises critical questions about the exploitation of vulnerable populations for political gain and the extent to which financial considerations may influence decisions that impact human lives. As the case continues to develop, the judicial system faces the formidable task of reasserting the rule of law against an administration that has repeatedly demonstrated a willingness to bypass established legal norms. The apparent use of the state secrets doctrine as a shield against accountability not only undermines the integrity of the judicial process, but also poses a significant threat to the principle of transparency that underpins democratic governance. The administration's refusal to provide essential evidence, despite the availability of secure legal mechanisms, suggests that there may be more at stake than mere bureaucratic resistance. It appears to be an orchestrated effort to obscure the truth and evade the consequences of constitutional violations. In conclusion, the ongoing legal battle over the deportation of Venezuelan immigrants and the subsequent invocation of the state secrets doctrine encapsulate a profound conflict between executive defiance and judicial oversight. Judge James Boosberg's resolute stance in demanding accountability underscores the critical importance of upholding constitutional rights, even in the face of aggressive executive maneuvers. The administration's contradictory behavior, simultaneously broadcasting evidence to the public while withholding it from the court, to maintain justice and raises serious concerns about the erosion of the checks and balances that are fundamental to our democratic system. As this investigation unfolds, the legal community and the public alike will be watching closely. The outcome of this case could have far-reaching implications, not only for those directly involved, but also for the broader framework of American governance. It is a stark reminder that when government officials disregard the rule of law, the very fabric of our constitutional democracy is at risk. With the possibility of severe sanctions looming, the administration's current strategy of delay and obfuscation may ultimately prove unsustainable. The coming weeks and months will be critical in determining whether judicial authority can prevail over executive defiance and restore the sanctity of constitutional rights for all individuals, regardless of their nationality or political status.